All right, guys. Thanks for sticking around for the end of day webinar. It is January 27th, 2017. It's Friday. Crazy ride here on PULM. I'm going to go over some of the price action with you guys and some of the ideas we had on this one. Mainly, I just want to start by going over the trade from this morning. So, again, guys, morning momentum came in pretty strong right off the open. We were going to look for a setup on this one and get a real trigger. So instead of chasing this morning momentum, which is kind of sketchy, we're going to wait for a real setup that we can play. And the place that I got my first long trigger in this one again was just around $3 on this break back up. So for those of you that were with us this morning on the live stream, you got a great idea of what we were doing. You got step by step, moment by moment commentary on exactly what we were looking for, and the live trade. Those of you that were maybe not there, whether you trade part-time or whether you work, this is going to be sort of an explanation of what we did here. So again, not really looking to chase morning momentum, just looking for proper setups where we can get in, get everybody involved, have a clear stop, a low risk entry, and look for a nice trade. Okay, so the first trade was long 3. I got in at 302 actually, but I got the trigger once we came back over 95. The problem was it just really ripped quickly, so it kind of hit 95 here on the higher low and it tore. So I used a limit order with a limit of 305 and I got filled at 302. All right, so I hit the offer to get in. I thought that the entry was a little bit less than ideal. I was looking for more or less a trade where I was going to kind of get in closer to 98. So 98 would have been an ideal entry, and then just kind of have a stop below 95 here. So we're looking for it to kind of perk up, hold a higher low, and then break out. So it would have been a lot easier to get a better entry had we just had a little bit of consolidation, even just 2 or 3 minutes, okay? But I just went ahead and took it. We waited patiently for an entry in this one. We sat through all of this chop and just sort of waited for the right opportunity to attack. So right from the offer at 302, for those of you that were following along on the live trade, basically just wanted to lock some in pretty quickly on that entry because I thought it could have been a better entry. So just to play it safe, I sold some at 3.0. Basically, I sold a few parts up here, and the average price of my sells were around 312. So we'll say 312. And then I actually got a second buy signal. So this is interesting, but it didn't really pull back much. It tested over and under 305 a couple of times. And then as it came in here, I got a second buy signal alerted at basically 313 is where I got in, but it was around 310 to 312. And anywhere would have been fine. Is up to 315 is a limit to buy there. I was anticipating a really nice breakthrough through highs and into possibly 350, but my ultimate target was 335. I was looking for just over 335, so I was looking for like a 337 exit from the original entry of 302. I just want to go through, because as I was doing the trade in real time, we were kind of adding shares, selling shares, moving our stops around. So just to sort of put things into perspective, on the first entry at 302, lock some in into the first push just to make sure we get paid, protect our entry, move the stop up to just under 3 here, all right? And then once I made the ads at 313, it pretty much brought my average price up to around a 306, and I just slid the stop up to 305 at that point. So I'd already locked into profit, added shares in at 313, slid the stop up to 306 to protect our entry, and just give us a great opportunity for a chance for this stock to really run for us. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out to be a home run trade. We sold some into the high day break, so the high day at that time was around 322. Sold some into the spike as usual, but I held on to about a quarter size, hoping for this to, looking for it to come back around, reclaim 330, and really take off. And honestly, with this kind of volume, and this is being pretty much the only stock really in play this morning, a lot of the time that's going to happen. So we were definitely in position for a low risk entry and a home run trade. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way, but still, at this point, once we had made the ads at 315, and once we started selling into this high day push, I then just moved the stop up to 315-ish. And so when it didn't get going, I was hoping for a bit of a higher low rate here in a rip. Didn't get it, so just unloaded the rest right there. So that was the trade. And you know, it doesn't look like much when you put it on a chart like this, but really that was a fantastic trade. It was a great entry. It met all of my criteria, the 4-point system that we're using for our long trades. And it was a trade that was easy to follow, easy for everyone to get involved in, very safe in terms of the stops, risk and reward. It all made sense to me. So again, thanks again, guys, for all the nice comments in chat. I'm really glad to hear that a bunch of you guys were able to get on board with that trade with us. And if you didn't get in that trade, or if you weren't confident enough, you're still learning, still watching, no problem. We'll have another one on Monday. We're aiming for 1 to 3 live trades per day. Entries, exits, stops, targets, everything involved. I think that it's a great way to learn. And as you guys can see, there's a lot of patience involved in waiting for these setups. So we're aiming for 1 to 3 of the best trades per day. This actually ended up being the only trade today, which was kind of unfortunate, but it's been a bit of a slower market this week. So, you know, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and add that to our journal. So again, I just wanted to go over how we use our journal and how we enter trades, because I did a blog post recently on it, but I think that probably be helpful for some people just to see why we use this and how valuable it really is in terms of tracking what your progress is in the trades that you make. So before I log the trade, again, just looking at the left-hand side, this is going to show the trades that we took on certain days. And yeah, the last little while it's been a bit on the slower side, usually 1 to 3 trades per day. On the 25th, which was Wednesday, there was actually 4 trades, but I only took 3 of them. I didn't count the CDTI short, which was alerted and the plan was there, but I just didn't get the entry. This isn't really including all of JB's trades either, which his trades are usually great. I did include one of his trades, which was this PULM, where he got long at 216, stopped 208, and 3 exits into that push, which was, again, a really great trade. And it was really well alerted ahead of time so everyone can get involved in it. So really good stuff there. Guys, so you can kind of go through long trades, what's working, start looking at your charts, see where you're getting in, see where you're going right, and see where you're going wrong. See your entries and exits and read your notes, and then you can kind of just go through again your short trades, which surprisingly I'm basically 50-50 so far on longs versus shorts. So there, for example, here's AUPH that was on 25th on Wednesday, short idea, and you can just sort of go through and see what trades are working, and it's just a fantastic way to get visual confirmation of the charts that you're trading that are working. And I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I am, because it's just been a fantastic tool for all of us. You can go a little farther with it. I think it takes about, I'd say, 1 to 2 minutes to post a log, which is well worth the time spent. If you want to go a little further with it and add annotations like this, you can. That takes a little bit more of your time, but it's up to you. This was like one of the first trades I logged on the 12th, so at that time I was like, yeah, I'll do annotations, and now I'm kind of like thinking that it's a bit more time consuming. So guys, I'm going to show you how to log a new trade with Evernote. Again, you should have one notebook, so if you just got the program, add your notebook, call it stock trades, futures trades, Forex, whatever it is you trade. I just keep one notebook, stock trades, because I only trade stocks. And I'm going to show you how you can use the tags to organize, and we'll start by just adding today's trade on PULM. So we're going to start by adding a new note. And typically what I'll do is I'll just start by copying one of the grids from a prior note. And for those of you who are just using it for the first time, you can add a grid with this button right here. It's Insert Table. I like to use a 6x2, but you can do whatever you want with that. So what we'll do is we will just start by adding the grid and then just refill the values. Before I do that, I'm just going to add the chart in as well. The way to do that is it's quite simple, really. Just go ahead and click in the chart that you want to put in there. Get a good shot of how you want to see it when you go back to review. 2 minute, 5 minute, whatever it is. JB likes to put multiple charts. He'll put the daily chart, the 5 minute, the 2 minute. And in this case, I really think it's important to see the detail in that 2 minute chart for the entry. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this. The way you do it is if you're clicked in a chart, any platform, doesn't matter, you hold Alt and press the print screen button, which is the top right, on the top right hand side of your keyboard, third key in. Hold Alt, press print screen, come back here, Control V to paste it, and there you have it. All right. PULM. If you want to add annotations, click on that @ symbol right there. It'll pull up a separate window, and that'll give you the ability to add, if you want to, for example, add like an entry and an exit for your notes, or just for your visual representation of where you got long. You can just sort of do it like that if you want. And then I'm not going to go into all the entries and exits because we did kind of scale in and out of this one, but typically something like this, right? Just that way when you're scrolling through, you can see where you went right, where you went wrong. And of course it helps to know, like, did you sell early? Maybe later in the day the stock held on. Maybe you shouldn't have sold and it comes back. So these are all great tools. I mean, this is maybe one of the most valuable things that you can honestly do for your trading, and it will keep you honest in your trading. It'll keep you patient. It'll make you think more before you trade because you don't want to stick a bad trade in your journal. But every loss in your trading journal should be a learning experience. You should put enough notes in there that you understand why it happened and how to avoid it in the future. So PULM, we're going to say it was a long at 3:02 was my entry, but the trigger was a little bit earlier than that. So initially the stop, I was thinking around 290, but we kept moving it up as we went along. So wanted to give it a little bit of a chance. So once it held 95, I kind of moved it up to 294. And then as we started selling, I moved it up to 305. And then up here, I moved it up to 315. So it's kind of a trailing stop. So that's, you can sort of put that however you want, you know, moved up, trail as the trade went, or whatever you want to put there. So for the exits on this one, I basically sold on an average of around 312 in the first move. So I got some at 308, 314, etc. So 312 on average. And then I actually took another entry again at 313. And I had some exits near high a day, over 25. 328, I think, was my last best exit, and then the rest of it I took out on the stop through 315. So this is just an example of how you can document a trade, and for the notes, just obviously write in some important notes so you can go back and understand why you took the trade. This is super important as well. So morning momentum, waited for a nice correction, long trigger at basically 295 on that higher low is where I started to get interested. The long trigger was basically at $3. But anywhere between 3 to 305 would have been fine. I would have preferred to have an entry at 98. I would have felt a lot better about that, and I probably wouldn't have sold as much into 312 if that had been the case. As you guys know, the entries and the risk management and the stops are super important to me. I take a lot of pride in getting the proper entries and waiting for the perfect time to get the signal and trigger that signal in. So this is just an example of how I sort of would do this. And today is the 27th, so this is the important part I want you guys to pay attention to, is how you tag the trade to make sure that it shows up properly and keeps you really organized on the notebook, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start by adding the dates. We're going to remove that tag, and we're going to add today's date. And it's important to keep the format exactly the same on every trade. So if you're using month, day, year, keep it that way so that it stays nice and neat over here. So today is 01/27/2017. And I just used 3 tags, either the date, the side, so whether it was a long or a short, and whether it was a win or a loss. So this was today's date, and we're going to go long, and we're going to go wins. So again, stay consistent with if you write wins or win or winner, because if you write winner here, it's going to come up with a new tag, and it's going to, again, clutter things up. So I'm trying to keep this really organized where I can just sort of, you know, sift through all the trades that we take over the live stream and keep them organized and allow us to go back, learn from them. For example, yesterday's short on PULM a little bit early through VWAP, and it got a little messy in there. It stopped me out. And then I had a second trade idea to get back into 218, and that one hit 2 targets, and then a third exit for a small loss. I didn't log that second trade because I didn't take it, but that was the idea for the second trade idea. And this, though, is what kept me very safe today. Remember into the close today? I was mentioning, hey, PULM, this action is exactly the same as what we saw yesterday, which was, first thing we saw was a bit of a panic sell through VWAP, likely some retail longs getting out, but then it grinded back up. Remember, short sell restrictions on. The stock's doing huge volume. It feels manipulated. It feels like there's someone holding it up. It feels like there's buyers in it. So we avoided that today. We completely avoided that because I logged it. It was fresh in my memory. I remembered the pattern. And for my commentary today, you guys should remember my commentary. And it's basically explaining that the pattern is exactly the same as yesterday. When they kept holding that 290 area, it got very suspect that they were going to rip it into the close here. There was, I don't want to get too off topic from the journal, but there was an unbelievable amount of selling in this 315 area, and that was a prior resistance. So I didn't get triggered in for a long here. Technically speaking, it was a setup, but I was very skeptical about this. Every chance they had to dump into the bid, they took it. So there was massive, on the level 2, okay, there was just incredibly massive sell offers on the sell side. So basically every time I got to 315, there was 20, 30, 40,000 shares on the offer. They would gobble it up. It would go up 3 or 4 cents. And then as soon as there was enough liquidity on the bid, they would slam the bid back down and then rebuild it and do it again and again and again. So that tells me that potentially some big dogs, some big traders are actually unloading their sells and likely using the early shorts panic covers to provide the liquidity. So there was a lot going on there, and I hope the commentary did help sort of decipher what I was seeing, and I think it was pretty accurate. So that was a really, really tough one. But the main thing that I'm very proud of today is, one, that I think we got one of the best trades as far as risk reward goes, and this was my favorite trigger of the day so far, really. And secondly was that we stayed away from all the chop. This is just the kind of stock that you can look back on a day and be like, man, I traded 100,000 shares in and out of this all day and I just couldn't get a good move out of it. So patience, waiting for that perfect opportunity to attack and then ignoring the chop. And usually we'll get a signal in the late day. So that was PULM, guys. So I'm just going to go back to the journal really quick. And by the way, I'm really excited to trade that one on Monday. I think it's going to give us a big opportunity, and I'll be ready for it. So for the entry I just put in, you don't have to actually save. Like when you do the new note, you don't have to save it. It automatically will save for you. And there's our new entry, PULM long. And we'll have a little arrow annotation to give the idea of where we bought. And I didn't put all the seller arrows in, obviously, but I'd say if you averaged all the sells in that one, it probably would have been around like a 318 to 322. Really a shame it didn't give us a home run, but next time maybe it will. Either way, we managed that trade perfectly, and I'm very happy with it. So again, congrats, guys. Give yourselves a pat in the back for a great week. And I'm noticing a lot of good stuff from you guys. You're starting to see what I'm seeing in the charts. You're starting to notice the screwery when you see stuff like, under VWAP starting to hold like this, VWAP over under, bidders coming in. You're starting to catch on to these clues that most, amateur retail traders miss, and they get jammed up in these types of trades, right? So again, guys, great work today and this week in chat. Looking forward to more trades on Monday. And as always, guys, if you have any questions, reach out to me anytime, jeff@livestreamtrading.com. I do prefer if you can get me in the chat room during market hours, though. But anytime, guys, always happy to help. Have a great weekend. Thanks very much, guys. See you on Monday. Cheers.